All right, let's just jump right in. Think about this for a second. What if the single biggest thing that determines your success, in your career, in your life, isn't your talent or how hard you work, but actually the quality of your conversations? That is the powerful and frankly kind of revolutionary idea that we're going to dig into today.
Oh, you know that feeling, right? You walk in with the best intentions, you think you're being totally clear, but the other person, they just don't get it. Or, even worse, they take it completely the wrong way. We've all been there, and that feeling of frustration, well, it turns out there's a real science behind why that happens.
And this quote from the author Judith Glaser, it just nails it, doesn't it? This isn't just about talk. Conversations are like the operating system for our relationships, for our teams, for our biggest ideas. Getting good at them isn't just a nice little skill to have, it's everything.
So if everything really does happen through conversation, how do we get it right? Well, ironically, the very first step is to understand why we so often get it so wrong. And almost every single time, it boils down to one critical thing: a breakdown in trust.
And this happens instantly. This is not some slow, logical process. Our brains are these ancient machines. They're built for survival. So before we even really process the words someone is saying, our gut instinct is already scanning for signals. Is this person a friend or a foe? Can I open up here, or do I need to put my guard up?
And these blind spots, these are the real culprits. We assume our idea is this perfect, shiny diamond, and we just can't understand why the other person sees it as a jagged rock. We totally underestimate fear. We think we're sharing this brilliant idea, but they hear something threatening because they're feeling uncertain. And this last one is huge. We think that just because we said it, the meaning was perfectly delivered. But meaning isn't like a package you send. It's something that gets created in the listener's mind.
So, what is actually going on inside our heads during these moments of total disconnect? Let's pop the hood and take a look. It turns out our brain can be our own worst enemy in a conversation if we don't understand the chemistry that's at play. Glaser calls this the Conversational Dashboard, and understanding this is a total game changer. See, when we feel threatened or we don't feel trust, our amygdala, that's the brain's alarm system, it hijacks the whole conversation. It floods our system with cortisol, the stress hormone, and our thinking becomes totally I-centric. How do I protect myself? How do I win this argument? But when we feel trust, our prefrontal cortex, the part for empathy and big-picture thinking, it lights up. It releases oxytocin, the connection hormone, and that shifts us into a we-centric mindset, where real collaboration can actually happen.
So this isn't just some fluffy metaphor. This is biology. Your words have a direct physiological impact on the people you're talking to. By creating an atmosphere of trust, you are literally changing their brain chemistry, helping to move them from a state of protect to a state of partner.
Okay, so now that we get the neuroscience, how do we actually put this to use? Well, Glaser gives us this brilliant, really practical framework. It turns out not all conversations are created equal. They actually exist on 3 very distinct levels.
So level 1 is purely transactional. What time is the meeting? It's at 3. Simple exchange of data. Level 2 is positional. This is where most of us live. It's where we advocate for our ideas, we try to persuade people. Most meetings, most debates, they happen right here. And the trust is conditional. It's there as long as we're on the same page. But the magic, the real magic happens at level 3. This is transformational. This is where we stop defending our own little patch of ground and we start building something new together, asking questions that we genuinely don't have the answers to. And that requires deep, real trust.
So, the big question is, how do we actually get to that magical level 3, especially when a conversation feels stuck in conflict or just plain distrust? The key is a skill called conversational agility.
And the 3 R's are your toolkit. First, you reframe. So instead of saying, "We totally failed to meet the deadline," you reframe it, "What can we learn from this delay that'll make our process better next time?" See that shift? Second, you refocus. You move the conversation away from just analyzing what's broken and toward imagining what's possible. And third, you redirect the energy. You actively shift away from blame and negativity and point it toward shared goals and creating something together.
Now, this might all sound good in theory, right? But what does it actually look like in the real world? Let's look at a pretty stunning example of a leader who used these exact principles to pull off one of the biggest brand turnarounds in recent history.
So when Angela Orentz took over as CEO of Burberry, the company was really struggling. The brand was all over the place, and the internal culture was full of silos and distrust. She knew that to save the company, she first had to fix the quality of the conversations that were happening inside of it. So how'd she do it? She didn't just send out memos from the top. No, she intentionally engineered a company-wide Level 3 conversation. She smashed the silos, insisting that the creative teams, the tech teams, and the business teams all create together. She famously said that at her level, competence is a given, but trust is what makes the real difference. By opening up all these channels for feedback and empowering everyone to contribute, she literally flipped the company's brain chemistry from fear to trust, which just fueled this incredible explosion of innovation and growth.
And that really brings us to the most powerful takeaway from all of this. We often feel like conversations just happen to us, that we're just along for the ride. But the truth is, we have the power to design them. You can consciously choose to build trust, to ask those level 3 questions, and to elevate any interaction. You're not just in the conversation, you are the architect.
So I'll leave you with this challenge. Think about a recurring, maybe difficult conversation in your own life, with a colleague, a family member, a client. Using what we've just talked about, what's one small thing you could do to shift it from protection to partnership? What one conversation will you choose to elevate this week?